There once lived a woman that stole almost all the men who lived in the village. No man could walk past her without turning backwards. She was the true definition of full package woman. She has everything in her front and fully packaged on her backside. In fact, Chika was every man's dream. But even with all this beauty, Chika was not married, but rather went about causing trouble for married men, making them leave their wives. Men fought over her like she was gold. Some men even gave her their last earning just to spend time with her. She would take all their money and gave them fake promises, and they would all smile. But she never gave them a chance with her. It was all fake promise. Some women got angry and planned on blocking her on her way from the stream, beating her up. But when they saw her coming, they were all silent. None could touch her. But the shocking thing was that Chika never had a family member. She only came into the village from another village, claiming her village was attacked by a neighboring village. But the question is, what was making her so attractive? I mean, she wakes up every day looking more attractive than before. Secretly, Chika was using something to make her more attractive and good looking, something none of the other women had. It was a perfume carved in a wooden bottle. Inside that bottle was a substance that made her beautiful every day. The more she sprayed the perfume on herself, the more she became attractive. Her real body was ugly, fat, and bad looking, but the perfume gradually made her the new girl she was. The perfume was a gift from an older woman she helped when she was in her own former village. The old woman told her that, "You have helped me. I will give you a precious gift. This perfume will make you beautiful, beautiful than anyone on this planet. But be careful, one mistake and the magic will fail." This was Chika's secret. "The gods must have blessed her so much," one woman would say. "I wish you could be my daughter-in-law," another woman says. Many marriages were scattered. Many rich men became poor, all because of Chika. She was growing richer and richer. But Chika was not contented. She still wanted more. She wanted more riches before she ran back to her real village. So she planned on getting the prince, Prince Obina. The prince by her side would give her not just wealth, but also power to control and rule. But there was a problem. Prince Obina was already planning to marry Nneka. But Chika wanted to get the prince instead. So she too began to stand in place where the prince would normally pass. She would stand in the market square where the prince passes every market days, and also different way he is likely going to pass. But all her efforts was in vain as the prince would not pass on time she planned. But luckily for her, one day, she met the prince. She was coming back with plenty tomatoes on her head and saw the prince coming her way. She intentionally poured the tomatoes on the prince, pretending like it was a mistake. The angry prince turned and wanted to shout her, but held his words the moment he saw her. To him, she looked home a river goddess. "I'm sorry, my prince. I didn't mean to pour that on you," Chika said. But the prince was not even listening to her. He was already lost in his thoughts as he stared at Chika and her heavy beauty. my prince, she says to him, bringing him back to his senses. I said, "I'm sorry." No, I know you did that on mistake," the prince replied, staring seriously at her body. "Thank you, my prince," Chika says, and positioned herself in a way the prince will even see her better. Wow, what a beauty. Why have I not seen you before? I would love to meet you again. Maybe talk more, the prince says. As you wish, my prince, she says. I'm Prince Obina. I'm Chika. Please, I should be on my way now. I hope you forgive me for the tomato stains on your shirt, Chika says, and walk away quickly. The prince stared at her until she disappeared into the bush path. He had never seen such a beautiful maiden. He even forgot that he was already involved with Nneka. I will catch her again, he thought. Meanwhile, Chika was so happy. She saw the way the prince stared at her, the way he kept looking at her back and front. She knew she had already got him. Soon I will gain power and wealth from the prince. She took her magic perfume out and laughed. After snatching all the men and taking all their money, breaking marriage apart, Chika finally went to do the same thing with the prince. She saw the way the prince stared at her, the way he kept looking at her back and front. She knew she had already got him. Soon I will gain power and wealth from the prince. She took her magic perfume out and laughed. When the prince went home that day, he could not forget about the maiden he saw at the bush party. He kept thinking of a way he would meet her again. Even though he already proposed to Nneka, Chika seemed more attractive, and he was already losing interest in Nneka. He started giving fake excuses to meet with Chika. Sometimes he went without his palace guards. From there, finally met her at the stream where she was fetching water. He told her he loved her, but Chika was pretending. "My prince, I know you love me, but I heard you're already planning to marry another maiden. I don't want to come between you two." Chika says like she cared, but deep down she didn't care. All she wanted was power and money. "Another maiden? You mean Nneka? Forget about that one. She's not even attractive like you. Please, I would love to make you my bride instead." Immediately she heard that, joy was all over her face, but she hid it. "My prince, please, I don't want problems. I am the prince. I choose who to marry and when. You don't have to fear. I will announce it to my parents," the prince said and hugged her. Then he sneaked back to the palace. He told his parents about his change of mind. "Father, I have found my real bride," he says. "Real bride? Yes, we all know your bride, Nneka, the daughter of my most humble men," the king replied. "No, father, she is different now. Her name is Chika. Father, you need to see her. I love her, and that's the person I'm going to marry now." "What is this nonsense, son? How can you?" "Mom, I have made my choice, and no one will stop me from marrying a maiden I love," Obinna interrupted. The king and the queen only agreed to his decision. There was nothing they could do. Soon the villagers began to hear the news of the prince's change of minds. They all went into shock. "Ah, that husband snatcher, that girl that broke my marriage, that woman that took my money." People began to whisper together, but no one could speak out. When Nneka heard the news, she thought it was all a joke until the Prince Obinna visited her and broke his proposal to her. She didn't even cry. She just said, "I wish you a happy marriage." Chika grew more pride. She walks through the village like a queen, even though she was not yet married. Few days later, she was brought to the palace to live as the prince's bride-to-be. As she stayed in the palace, she enjoyed all the good things she never seen. Good bed, good food, even better than the ones she ever ate. Sometimes she would walk to some part of the palace and she would find precious things like gold. She would take some of it and hide it. When the king found out, they would punish the innocent royal servants who know nothing about the missing gold. But there was a maid in the palace named Ada. Ada felt like something was not right with Chika. She always wakes up every day more attractive and good looking, and she doesn't even have anything like a family member or friends. And again, Ada noticed that Chika was always close to a small wooden box. She never let the box out of her side. And Chika was hiding the secret to her attractive beauty, the magic perfume. She was hiding it inside the perfume. So the night before the wedding, while Chika was sleeping like a queen, she was happy knowing that tomorrow she was going to be married to the prince of the village. But that night, Ada sneaked into her room. She saw the wooden box placed on the table. She carefully opened it and found a perfume. She had never seen a perfume like that before. It was shining like rainbow even when it was just liquid. She quickly poured the liquid outside of the bottle onto the ground and refilled the bottle with normal water, making it look exactly like the normal bottle. By morning, Chika woke up and began preparing for her marriage ceremony with the prince. She wore the wedding dress happily. Then she took the magic perfume and sprayed it on her face, her ears, and her body. She didn't notice that her precious perfume that makes her beautiful has been changed to ordinary water. Villagers were already gathering at the palace, and drummers were already performing different music and dance. Drinks were already pouring down even before the ceremony began. Everyone was waiting for the bride to show up. After spraying, Chika hid the perfume back in her box and smiled. "After today,
I will become the wife of the prince, and one day I will become the queen. Wealth and riches." She shouted and laughed. Then she walked majestically out of her room.
"This woman snatched my husband from me. She spoilt my marriage," one woman who was sitting at the king's palace says in anger, as they all waited for the bride to show up. "I wish the prince knew who he was getting married to. This woman collected my hard-earned money, gave me fake promises that she would spend time with me, but she didn't," a man says. "After spoiling different marriages, now she wants to marry the prince. I know the prince will regret marrying her," another person says. The villagers were all angry with Chika, especially the ones who fallen for her game. Meanwhile, Chika was in her wedding gown, walking majestically into the crowd into the ceremony. The kind and the prince were already waiting for her. She believed that her magic perfume was going to make her more attractive. She didn't even know that someone already replaced the perfume with another liquid. Immediately she went to the courtyard where the ceremony was holding. She began to feel different. She was expecting her magic perfume to make her more attractive, but it was not working. Right before her own eyes, she saw her glowing and shining body gradually turning into something different. The magic was not working anymore. Her beautiful face that attracted that prince was now turning dark and darker. Her wet and shiny lips were now beginning to dry like a poor old girl. "What is happening?" she thought. She looked around, all eyes were on her. Even the people began to notice the change in Chika. "Why is my perfume not working? No, this cannot happen, not now," she thought faster than ever. Her beautiful curved shape was gradually returning back its normal shape, which was not attractive. Even the prince stood up in shock. He wondered what was going on. "Why did she stop walking?" he asked. People began to whisper suspiciously to themselves, "What is happening to the bride? Look at her skin. I thought she was beautiful." Meanwhile, Ada, the palace maid, was standing at the corner watching the situation. She knew Chika's beauty was not ordinary, and that was why she poured her perfume away and replaced it with water. Chika stood in the middle of the crowd. The prince was now getting curious. She remembered what the old woman who gave her the perfume said. "Be careful, for the magic will fail if you make one mistake." Chika couldn't bear it anymore. Her body was becoming fatter, so she ran fast out of the crowd. "Follow her," the prince instructed. So the palace guards and plenty other people followed Chika into her room where she went. She was busy spraying the perfume on herself again, hoping it would change her before the crowd arrives. But it wouldn't. By that time, she had already changed fully into her real self. Her beauty was gone. Her curves and everything was gone. She was now looking very fat. The prince came and was shocked. He couldn't even recognize Chika. "What is this?" he says. "It's her. It's Ada the servant. She poisoned my perfume and made me fat because she was jealous of my body." Chika says, "Point at Ada." Everyone turned to Ada. "You poisoned her? You made my bride ugly?" the prince said angrily at Ada. "Obina, you know Ada has been here for years. I know she didn't practice evil. She's not a witch. Only a witch can do such a charm." "My love, you have to believe me. She poisoned me. I can't even look at myself," Chika lied. But something strange happened. Inside the crowd, there was an old woman standing with walking sticks. She interrupted them immediately. "Liar! The maid is innocent. You are the cause of your own problem. I gave you that perfume as gift. You were supposed to use it for good, but you went about spoiling marriage and caused problem. Haha, I was watching you all this while and I followed you everywhere to see what you were planning to do with my gift. You failed," the old woman says. Chika frozen when she saw the old woman. How did she come to the village? She was supposed to be in another village. Tears gathered around her eyes. The prince stood like a tree. The queen speechless. The men of the village in tears as they found out that she has been deceiving them with a fake body. Women wept for their marriage. "You have deceived not just my people. You deceived the royal family too. You will pay by your life," the king says. Chika knelt down pleading. No forgiveness. The king was a man of his words. Chika was taken to the village prison where she would stay without food for a long period of time
And if she survived it, then she will be free. But if she dies, then she will be thrown into the wild forest. The prince felt so stupid for believing Chika. That moment, he went back to Nneka to apologize to her for leaving her. Nneka accepted his apology and accepted to marry the prince again. 2 weeks later, the villagers heard that Chika is dead. But the villagers was not shocked. They whispered, "There is always a price for every evil deed. Husband snatcher." As for the prince and Nneka, they married and lived a happy life. The